training. There's no presentation. There is nothing that I have sort of pre-done for you. I appreciate that is not very good English at all. But basically, I was asked to put a bit of something together for probably for newer agents and those that still need the confidence building and what have you, for once you've received an inquiry and literally full stop, what happens next. So I thought, rather than doing any kind of structured presentation, or I don't want to put anybody on the spot and do any kind of role play or anything like that, because I know that some people would just absolutely shrivel up inside themselves with the thought of it. So I just thought chatting, going through it, sort of informally talking about it is probably the easiest way to go. So I'm going to do it a little bit different, because I appreciate that I may, without realizing, jump a step or two. And unfortunately, that just comes along with how often you do this kind of thing. I've unfortunately sat and gone through inquiries for years and years and years. So I don't want to do that. I want to ensure that everybody's on the same level. So where I'm going to just do things slightly differently is, obviously I can see all you guys on my screen. As I say, there's no presentation or anything, so I don't need to flick off the screen. If you do have a question whilst I'm mid-flow, if you just pop your hand up, I will stop. We'll come to your question in case I've missed anything. And like I say, it could be something actually that can't wait till the end, because I may have missed it. So if you've got anything, please just put your little hand emoji up, and I'll stop. So I think we are all at the point where we're chomping at the bit. I know we've got some newer agents on tonight. We've got some that have been around for a little bit longer. And like I say, just maybe still need a confidence build, or really just want to hear different people's ideas and their opinions, what may have worked for them. So the first thing to know is consistency. And this goes for not even just an inquiry. This goes full stop. We've spoke about it many, many times. Consistency is key. Consistency is key with your social medias, with whether it's posting offers on X days, a meme another day, whatever it may be, just having your presence there, keeping your name flowing, and keeping it out there. I spoke to an agent last night, actually, who said that she was finding more and more on her own social media. I'm guessing her personal one. But finding more and more on her social media, more agents, more travel agents popping up, more comments on some of these posts. I'm a travel agent, I'll look at this. And she was seeing it a lot more. And I think it kind of maybe deflated her a little bit. And I said exactly the same thing to her. Consistency is key. So for anybody, for example, for anybody who hasn't joined the groups on Facebook, the I Need a Travel Agent groups, they are a great place to start with regards to getting your inquiries, because that's what those people are going on these Facebook groups for. They are literally named I Need a Travel Agent. I Need a Travel Agent UK. I'm sure there's many, many varieties of them. But certainly one of the ones that I'm in has got about 80,000 people, I think. So even if you split that in half agents, half customers, potential customers, it's a hell of a lot of people go to turn into Facebook for holidays. If you never, with the amount of agents that I'm sure are on there, you are never going to get every single one. But once you start getting lucky and you see those ones right at the top, and you just so happen to have gone on that group as someone's just posted and you can get in there first, I can have a look at this for you. Please send me a direct message. Here's my page, whatever it might be. And there's your inquiry. But even with a group like that, even the ones that you don't win because others have got to the client before you, or whatever it may be, still keep being consistent. And that then falls with your inquiry. So once you do have that inquiry, You absolutely may need to ask for more information. That's not a problem. That's no problem whatsoever. But again, you just need to keep it consistent. You want that customer to turn into a regular, whether that's one holiday every year, every 2 years, 2 a year, 3 a year, whatever it may be. You want that one to turn into a consistent booker. So you also need to be consistent. You can do that in a number of ways. If you have decided, right, this person has sent me an inquiry on Facebook, you can then direct them, for example, can I have your email address? I'm going to send you a form, an inquiry form. Some people may not have even thought of an inquiry form. You don't have to do it at all. It's really just how confident you are with the details that you get in, the questions that you're asking. If you feel as though you still need to build your confidence a little bit, there is no harm whatsoever with you literally putting together an inquiry form. And it can be as simple and basic and straightforward, or as complex, not that they need to be complex, as you like. Very straightforward, who's traveling. Very straightforward, where would you like to travel from? But again, keeping it consistent, if you are going ahead and doing a form, make sure that you are either putting boxes for them to fill in themselves, or you're putting enough space and you're asking the right questions. So if you were to ask me, what airport are you flying from? And you gave me this much space, I'm going to put Manchester. If you then ask me underneath, are you flexible with where you fly from? I'm also going to put Liverpool. I may look at Leeds, Bradford, me personally, obviously, where I am. So make sure you allow your customer to expand. Same with where would you like to travel to? You don't even have to be as straightforward as that. Where in the world were you thinking? Or, any kind of variation on it. You need to get to know these people. You need to get to know what makes them tick. Always a really good idea if you're using a form to put something along the lines at the bottom of, is there anything else I need to take into consideration? In brackets, say you can put flight times. Some people want mornings specifically, or etc., etc. Activities that you like to do, or even a question of what kind of things do you / your family like to do on holiday? And again, we've touched on this a couple of times. You may get Mr. Jones that wants to go rock climbing versus Mrs. Jones that wants to sit by the pool and read a book. That will instantly allow you to take a step back and realise that you need something or somewhere or some kind of resort that is going to cater for these two people that are on opposite ends of the scale, but you need to make them both happy. So by using a form or something like that, you can be really, really consistent when you're sending that out. What I do appreciate on the flip side is that some people don't necessarily want to use a form because it's quite formal and more of a general chit chat. I mean, I'm still very much in the frame of mind that if you have the ability, the confidence to do it, I think one of these video calls is absolutely perfect. You look at me and I very much know I've always done it. I talk with my hands massively. I also have very large facial expressions when I talk, but it does mean that you get a lot from me. If someone were to ask me a question and my one movable eyebrow kind of goes, you automatically know I'm confused. If I'm raising, you totally see where I'm going with the body language side of things. And like I say, the fact that my hands just move 10 to the dozen. If I'm sat listening to somebody, my hands just disappear. They instantly just disappear and I probably move forward. But again, if you are on the other end of an email, you're certainly not going to get that. Over the phone, of course, you're going to pick up on voice tones and, the what do they call them? Inflexes, whatever they're called, all that kind of thing. So you'll get more. But still, if you have the confidence, I would absolutely encourage you to go forward with video calls, at least offer them. You may well get somebody on the other end that isn't comfortable, But if you've got the confidence to offer it, please do offer it. As I say, I do also appreciate that some people won't want to do that. So you then need to try and get to know your client. If you don't want to do a form, it may come across too formal for what you're kind of thinking, and you're not confident with being face to face on a screen like this, then try and aim for phone calls. Let me get some details from you. Can I also take your telephone number if there's anything else I need to ask you, etc., etc., etc. So that's your inquiry. You've asked all of the questions that you need to ask. What do you then do? And again, keep it consistent. If you have got somebody that is asking you to go to Turkey on the 15th of August for 1 week, they are flexible by 1 day, give or take 1 day either side. They have to be back for this date. They want all inclusive, and we've got 2 adults and a child, and they want to fly from Manchester. I could pretty much tell you that there's no reason that you shouldn't be getting back to that customer the same day. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of dependence in there. You may well have other customers that you're dealing with. Obviously, we've all got lives and other things going on. But as a straightforward kind of inquiry like that, really, there's no reason. If you get it at 10 o'clock at night, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to say to a client, you know, please leave this with me. Is there a time that's best for me to give you a call? I can certainly ensure that I get this done before 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. And obviously go from there, and then make sure you stick to your word. On the flip side of that, if you've got somebody who's asking for a 5-center itinerary in America, and while they're there, they want to see X, Y, Z in each destination, telling them at 10 o'clock at night when the inquiry comes through that you're going to get back to them by 5 o'clock the next day is probably not realistic. But as long as you explain to that person, I'll be completely honest with you, this may be something that I need to do over the phone. I do have a couple of things that I need to do in the morning, getting back in touch with some customers or whatever it might be. Bear in mind little white lies as well, like that, you know, if the truth of the matter is you've got a nip to Tesco, you obviously don't need to tell them that. But again, just make sure that you keep it consistent. Make sure that you are being realistic, setting your expectations and their expectations. It's the quickest way to lose somebody. Not got back to you when they said that they would. We've probably all fallen victim to it somewhere along the line. A car garage, some kind of customer service team, anything at all. I'm sure we all will have fallen victim to it. And it is so frustrating. Even if at that time you've forgotten about it, it may be later on that day, you think, hold on a second, they've not called me. It could be the day after. The last thing you then want to do is be chasing it up. You don't feel important. You don't feel like you want to move forward. And any rapport that has been built is completely lost and broken. So make sure you set very clear expectations. If you think it's going to take you 2 days, then that's no problem at all. You just explain to them, this isn't straightforward, as I'm sure you're aware. You know, they know that they're giving you a 15-center itinerary. They certainly know that it's not straightforward, and they know that they're after something complicated. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay with you, is I'm going to get onto this in the morning, just basing it on this late inquiry coming through. I'm going to get onto this in the morning. What I'll do is, if it's all right with you, if I give you a little bit of an update around 5 p.m. tomorrow, or whatever time works for you tomorrow afternoon, my working hours are X till X, give you an update, let you know how it's getting on. Hopefully I can have something for you, but as I'm sure you can appreciate, we need to get this right. It may take me an extra day. Either which way, I will contact you and let you know where we're up to. If you have that same thing with all of your clients, It may be that you pop it on a note somewhere. You've got to ring this person back at this time, this person back at this time, your own little diary sort of thing. You're then not going to cross over with anybody. You've got it in front of you who you need to call on, what number and what it's regarding, etc., etc. Then obviously, where are you going to look? So you've done all of that. You've taken all of the details down. You know exactly what it is that they're after. You've got all pieces of information. Where are you going to look? So this is, of course, where things will get a little bit more difficult. I don't like to use the word difficult because it's not. All it is, it's just knowledge, and it is new. And it really is that simple. Nobody expects anybody to know everything within 5 minutes. I'm still literally learning something new every single day without fail. And I have done this since the age of 15. No one expects you to know anything. I will quite easily forget that you guys may not know the 3-letter codes for airports, and I've popped them more than once in an email and then had a response back as if to say, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Think, geez, ingrained. And that's all it is with you guys. It's just not yet ingrained. It'll be getting there for some of you with certain things. Certain things you'll instantly think, I'm going to go to Exotica for that. I know that they can help me. You know, when we had the Not in the Guidebooks training, for those of you that either watched it in live real time or have watched it afterwards, I'm sure that if you had an inquiry for something luxurious in Lapland, that's probably what you'd think towards, because you've watched something, you've learnt about it, and you've walked away with just a little piece of key knowledge and it's stuck in your brain. The more you do this, the more that will come, 100%. So it is a little bit more difficult. I appreciate that completely when it comes to where to go. For those of you that have the patience, have the willing, have the time to do it, my advice would be to make a very simple, very straightforward Excel spreadsheet, and perhaps just along the bottom where your sheets would be, let me just see if I can bring up a blank one for you. Let's just open a new blank workbook. Obviously, these things, you can be fancy with them. The truth of the matter is you don't need to be. If I just share my screen very quickly, if you have a blank Excel worksheet here, just like this one, and if we were to name this one UK holidays, staycations, whatever it may be, and we were to do another one that was tours, you can obviously see where I'm going with this one, cruises, and then in there, all you would need to put is, again, you'd probably need to go through your supplier list. Gold Medal, they have a touring section. JTA have a touring section. Wendy Wu, you could even put their specialist in. Sorry, I can see I'm not typing properly. I've got a nail missing and it makes me not be able to type. Specialist in blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. On to your next one. We know that we have got P&O Direct. We know that we've got Cunard Direct. We know that we can use JTA for all, have to call, etc., etc., etc. But it will start, the thing, it's so straightforward. It couldn't be more straightforward to do something like that. Do appreciate you'd either have to have the time to do it, or you'd have to keep sort of going back to it. But what you do in there is you are consistently being in and out of, say, the travel cafe, which means that you are looking constantly at these suppliers and you're referring back to put them back on your Excel. And then every time you are questioning who you need to go to for something, you'll dip back into your Excel sheet, and without realizing, by looking for the for whatever it is that you're after, you're putting these things back into your own head. So where you may have forgotten about Exotica or somebody like that, by checking your list, you're actually ingraining it back in. And it sounds so simple and so straightforward. And I hope it doesn't sound like I'm trying to teach anybody to suck lemons or anything, but these tiny things that you probably won't have thought about is where, in the back of your head, without even knowing it's happening, your confidence is building, because you're just doing something consistently over and over again. Let me go back to the travel cafe. I did half an hour last night. I'll go back on today while I've got a spare 20 minutes. I'll keep updating my sheet. What you're then doing is, I did that one yesterday, I did that one, I did that one, I did that one, scroll, scroll, scroll. And again, you're actually just planting it back into your mind until eventually it's at the forefront. So, excuse me, from there, as I say, certain things you'll just get to know. You cannot book a cruise online with Gold Medal or JTA. You will need to give them a call and you'll need to get the price that you're after. There is no issue with that. As much as on certain systems, JTA being one of them, whereas you genuinely could sit and do a 5-center holiday, I also appreciate that I really am not too sure if anybody would have the confidence to sit and do that and not panic that they've done something wrong. Give them a call. It's not a problem. There's no issue with it whatsoever. These people are there to help. Now, there are obviously certain things where I'm sure sometimes they do sit and they just go, oh. I had a phone call with a tour operator yesterday, a Teams call, who are a touring company, and they have had, for whatever reason, quite a few agents from another agency asking them for a week all inclusive in Spain, a week all inclusive in the Bahamas. They are a touring company. Now, don't get me wrong, I imagine that if that keeps happening, the chances are you may well pick up the phone, somebody may well pick up the phone and perhaps be quite annoyed that they've had this question again. They are a touring company, specialise in escorted tours, and they are constantly being asked for all-inclusives or, beach holidays and what have you to this place and that place. On the flip side of that, I had a call with Expedia. I think some of you probably know I was expecting a really, really good phone call, but it was more just an update. Anyway, on the flip side of that, when I had my call with Expedia last week before, whatever it was now, they said that they get next to 0 phone calls from us as an agency. And to me, the less phone calls that somebody is getting, the better. Whether that's that their system's better, their training's been better, whatever it might be, I don't really care. It's a good thing. So if you need help with something, pick up the phone, but please just double check what it is that you're picking up the phone for. But these people want to help. If you go through to a sales team at wherever it may be, they will also be on commission. So they're happy for you to pick up the phone as long as you've got all of the information. If you've done what you need to do in the first instance and you've got all of the information that you need and you're passing that on over the phone, you're going to get your quote, you're going to be able to put the phone down, you're going to be able to get back to your client. Simple as that. Where you may have missed key things, that's where you're going to struggle. That's where you may panic a little bit. It's fine. It happens. If it is something that you can, sort of wangle, then go ahead and do it. If somebody has told you that they live in, if you've got somebody's address and they've told you that they live in Manchester, you've forgotten to ask them which airport they're flying from, you can probably wangle it and say that they're going to be flying from Manchester, things like that. If you've forgotten to ask the age of the child, but they have said that they need to have a kids club, let's say, the chances are they're not 16 and the chances are that they're not 3 months old. You can probably just stick to 6, 7, 8, whatever it might be, and then get the correct information prior to obviously booking. Again, you can see where I'm going with that, but if you've forgotten to ask a client where it is that they want to go to, then obviously if you then pick up that phone and ask for some help, you're just not going to get anywhere. So again, that's where the forms come in handy, or use a form but then word it yourself, whatever it might be. Yes, so the main thing is where you're going to go to and who you're going to get the quote off. The other thing is, don't be afraid to get more than one quote. The way that things are nowadays, and going back to the agent I spoke to last night who has seen herself a rise in the amount of agents sort of showing themselves online or on social media, is exactly the same with the amount of people tour operator wise. There are many of them flying around nowadays, many of them. And as much as they're further in the background, i.e. we're more face to face, as much as they're in the background, they're still competing with each other. And I'm sure that it's no secret that we've got some tour operators who sell very, very similar things across the board. Oh, look, they do that, so do they. They have this department, so do they. Without me having to mention it, you guys will have seen that. Apologies for those that are brand new. You guys probably won't, but it certainly is the case. You've also got in there, the likes of, say, TUI, for example, who do so many areas, although they're not necessarily direct competition for some of our other suppliers. They will still do the same chain of hotel. They will still do the same areas, the same destinations. They also do tours and what have you. They do villas like some others. So they may not be direct competition, but they will still have very similar availability. So that's where then you just need to be a little bit savvy. And that's where when you start getting used to the systems and things like that, everything will become easier. If you have a very straightforward customer, very straightforward inquiry, there isn't really a reason that you would need to be calling. Because if you were getting a quote for something and you were a little bit unsure, that is where I would say call me. Just because you don't want to sit on the phone for an hour to ask somebody, is it right that this is showing as bed and breakfast because my clients wanted all inclusive and I thought I ticked all inclusive on the system? You don't need to be sat on hold for an hour to ask that. That's where you would pick up the phone to me or drop me an email. And from there, I would probably say to you, can I just double check? Have you checked X person? Have you checked this tour operator? And again, it's just keeping those things alive and refreshed back into your brain. I also then, it is a lot of work. Nobody is saying otherwise. But as I say, if we are sticking to a very simple inquiry and you're giving yourself realistically 18, 20 hours to do that, that would also be more than enough time to get the hang of each of these systems, double check. Let me just go through to the end, make sure that everything I've asked for is included, make sure everything I need is included. Did I get transfers on that? Yes, I did. Did I get luggage on that? Yes, I did. And then obviously you can compare your quotes. Your client does not need to know who you've got that quote with, why you've got it with them. They don't need to know anything. All they need to know is you have asked me for A, B, C, and D. What I have come up with here, I believe ticks all of these boxes. You are traveling on X, you're going to X, etc., etc. The total cost is coming in at £3,500. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Smith? And obviously your conversation will flow from there. You can ask whenever you like. Again, it does take a little bit of oomph about you, so I appreciate that people may not want to do it or feel comfortable doing it at the beginning. But another good tip is to always ask your client, when are you planning on booking? Because if they tell you that they want to book as soon as possible, and you are on the phone, for example, giving them their read back, I have found this, you asked for this, it does have that. You asked for somewhere with the gym, this does have a state-of-the-art gym. You wanted the early morning flight times, this one leaves at 7 a.m. and the total cost is £3,500, and they're not ready to book. You need to dig a little bit deeper. They've already told you they're ready to book. They want to get this booked as soon as possible. So what's the reason? What is the blocker? Is it that actually it's too expensive? You're never going to know this. You can answer your own questions inside your head, but you're only going to know if you've asked the question of when they want to book, you've had the answer, and you're not then getting the response that you want. So that then will open up a bit more of a conversation. On the flip side, another way of doing that is, rather than when are you wanting to book this, you can kind of flip that on its head a little bit. What would it take for me to get you to book this today? And it could be, it's a little bit expensive. Okay, no problem. What kind of price were you looking at? I was actually thinking more along the £3,000 mark. Right, okay, that's no problem at all. What I've done there is, when you filled in the initial inquiry, when you gave me your initial inquiry and you said between 3 and 3.5, I have ticked all of the boxes for you, and it was coming in at 3.5. If you are willing to compromise on the gym, or if you are willing to compromise and do a midday flight, I could actually probably get this closer to the £3,200 mark. How does that sound? And basically, you just kind of need to have it that whatever they may come back with, you can rectify. You can rectify a flight time that they're not happy with, no problem at all. You can rectify that they wanted a gym and the hotel that you've chosen doesn't have one. You can rectify all of that, as long as you had it there in the first place of what they wanted. You can go a step further. You can ask them what the non-negotiables are. That's putting you in better stead, because if they've got 3 non-negotiables, you know for a fact you need to go away. You need to find those 3 things. If it's then too expensive, you can absolutely appreciate where they're coming from. However, what I've done is I have ensured that all of your non-negotiables are in there. Is there a non-negotiable that actually now you're thinking you may compromise on? Yeah, do you know what? Actually, I'd probably compromise and have 3 restaurants rather than 5 restaurants. No problem. Let me go away. Let me see what I can do. Let me see if that reduces the cost for you. Let me come back to you. This is not easy work. When it comes to these kind of things, it's never going to be straightforward. But what it can be is really, really rewarding. Obviously, you guys are going to reap the benefits, of the commission. But I also don't want it to be stressful for you, because it doesn't have to be. If you are truthful with that customer and you explain to them the costing is being implicated here because of your non-negotiables, then that's down to them what they want to do with that. If you are honest with them and say to them, do you know what? This has come towards the top end of your budget, because what I've tried to do is I've tried to get as much as possible for your money. But what I can do is I can go away and I can relook at a couple of those things and see what kind of costing we can come up with. You can start being really savvy if you want to. You can say, I'll tell you what I'll do. I appreciate it is coming in towards the top end of your budget. What about if I include an airport lounge for you free of charge? Start your holiday off with a little bit of luxury. So what you're doing there actually is you are taking your £350 commission and you are, for example, and you are reducing that to 300, but you're going to get the booking. And all these tiny, tiny savvy things is really what will then set you apart. It could be half price extra legroom seats that you could offer somebody to close the booking. The thing is, you don't even have to offer anything for free. We're just obviously each case, if that's the right way to put it, sound very lawyer-like. Each case is individual. Each customer is different. Each thing that you could offer is going to tick someone's box, but not somebody else's. So again, if you've built the right rapport, you'll kind of know how to steer it. I know what they want. They want an extra 50 quid off. Do you know what? They've asked for 5-star all the way through. I'm going to offer them a free airport lounge to try and clinch this. And you can also put your own terms with that. What are we on today? We're on Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday today, isn't it? You could literally say to them, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw in a free VIP lounge at the airport for you. I'm just double checking now that the one that the best one is available, whatever it might be. However, with regards to how often prices change, etc., I can currently only offer this if you book before 6 p.m. tonight, whatever it might be. If it does go after that, as I'm sure you can imagine, I will need to reprice everything and see whether or not that would still be available for me to offer to you. And again, you'll get used to saying these kind of things and thinking these kind of things. Either which way, you're still being consistent. You are still being consistent with that client. You are offering them exactly what they want. You are then offering to change some of their non-negotiables or ask them if they're going to compromise on anything. You're going to go away. You're going to do the same thing again. By this time, you already have got an idea of who the best people are to check. So that's going to make things a bit speedier for you. You have once again asked them what time is going to be best to give them a call back, or it may be that it's an email, or etc. Either which way, as I say, do not expect it to be so straightforward. The ideal ones are so straightforward, but that's life. In an ideal scenario, everything is straightforward. Unfortunately, it's not real life. And we are going to come across these things. The UK more so than the US. I think the US are a lot more decisive than what we are over here. Found that quite a lot, actually. And Ron would be the first one to say it. He always talks about like our rules and the way that we do things so sort of proper, and we think about everything and we think things through, and we do. But as long as you go in, you know you've done what you need to do for that client. You know you've got them the best possible offer that you can. It may be that you've called me. It may be that you've called the tour operator directly, the supplier directly, just to make sure you've kind of stretched yourself as far as you can. You've asked your questions, you've got all of your information, and you know that that client wants to book as soon as possible. You've hit everything. You've hit all of the nails on the head. It's then just overcoming and understanding that if there is still a blocker in place, why? And then the final thing from all of that, and also I can appreciate that this is also very idealistic. You may well then get that person on the other end of the phone that says, well, I'm happy with it, but I do need to speak to my wife. You can be cheeky there. Surprise her. Go on, I dare you. Book it. Surprise her. She will not believe that you've done that. You can also be, you have to have the empathy there. I do appreciate that. What do you think Mrs. Smith is going to say when you give her this, when you show her this? From there, you can also I'll tell you what, let's put the phone down now. How about if I send you via email a link to the website so that you can see whatever it might be, or, any marketing tools or that kind of thing. I think JTL Gold Medal do have some kind of links or something that you can send. I'm also going to send you the quote over so that you've got it there in black and white. Shall I give you a call at midday tomorrow and see how you've got on? Whatever it might be. So again, just use your own personality. Once you hopefully then get the go ahead, I do appreciate that we're not going to win them all. But if you can confidently walk away and say there was nothing else I could do, then you've done your job. Some people just aren't ready to book. Some people just decide against it. I'm the most indecisive person that there is. Last week I was going to Thailand, as in not physically flying last week, but last week I sat and decided I wanted to go to Thailand. And then 2 days later I was saying to James, shall we do Mexico again? Literally within probably 2 or 3 days. I'm so indecisive. And that can happen with other people. We get that. Once all of that goes through and you've got the best client ever and they want to book it, that is where 9 times out of 10 econ pay is then obviously going to come into play. Now, I cannot stress enough how important it is to do the econ pay training, please. It is there, it is available. I have done a more up-to-date one in the last 3, maybe 4 weeks. That is on the Travel Cafe. It is on the Facebook page and it is updated with the new sort of enhanced features look and the look of the EconPay website. Yet I still am receiving emails such as, I've logged into EconPay and my booking isn't showing on there. That is not what EconPay is. You make your booking with your supplier and you use EconPay to take the payment. It is your job to put the details into EconPay and take the payment. I then need to be able to go onto EconPay and find your payment that links with your booking. The only way that I can do that is if you are giving me information. There is 2 mandatory boxes, a payment ID and a customer ID. I do not care what you put in each box as long as I can find the booking that the payment is linked to. If you do need to put any more nitty gritty in there is also an optional box where you can put whatever you want in. As much detail in there as you need to. If you've got £200 going to Gold Medal and you've got £100 going to Viator and you've got £50 going to, I don't know, car hire company, that box is there for you to be able to put that in. But those initial mandatory boxes, surname, date of departure, booking reference if you've got it, did I say departure date? Yeah. The supplier, etc., etc. The more information you put in those boxes, the easier it is for me. But it is your job to ensure that that payment is taken and that I can link it to the booking. All it is that I think some people are very frightened of EconPay, and I get it because it's someone else's money and you're physically taking a payment from them. But if you go onto Amazon or Tesco Whoosh or wherever it might be, and you input your card details to pay for whatever it is you're paying for, that is exactly what EconPay is. The difference is you are doing your client's card details rather than your own. People, you guys yourselves will do this. Some of you probably every day will order something online, whether it's a coffee or, whatever it might be. But we all will have input our own card details into a website in order to buy something. Amazon, places like that, I know save them, but either which way, and it's obviously very scary. You just press pay and you have no idea how much you've spent on Amazon. But what that does mean is that initially you have had to put your card details in and save it in there. That is all you're doing. You're just doing it on behalf of somebody else. So please just ensure that you have watched these trainings prior to doing bookings and what have you, which I think does go without saying, but just to reiterate that, please have at least some knowledge of what it is that you're doing prior to doing it, rather than going in completely blind, because that is where mistakes can happen. Not saying they're not rectifiable, but you know. And then yes, from there, you with some suppliers, you will get confirmation. You send it over to your customer. You just make sure that you're not sending the agent copy, because that will have your commissions on there, etc. With others, I get the email. If I do get the email, obviously you will know, because within maybe half an hour, whatever it might be, you still haven't received it. The best thing you can do there is just drop me an email. I booked a holiday with TUI, and I haven't received a confirmation. Could you just let me know if you've got it, please? And certainly with TUI, I've chosen that specifically. I do get the confirmations. I don't know who's booked it, so you have to contact me. What I will then do is I will go onto EconPay. I will check that the payment has been made for that booking, and I will forward the confirmation to you. And that is your booking done and dusted, and literally on to the next. So I shall let everybody go. I shall say goodbye and hopefully see you all on Thursday. Bye, everybody.